They say in life that everything eventually comes full circle. And yeah, that kind of has happened with me in the collecting world. But this tale is one that was a little bit different and a little bit unexpected. So back in the day when I had to sell my collection, I sold off my Build-A-Figure T-Rex Tamer. Why? Because he was fetching a pretty good amount of money at the time. In fact, I think I fed myself for a week just off of that sale that I repaid my power bill. Either way, it helped me survive. As time went on, I sold more and more. I did have the 5-inch Toy Biz figure from the Fantastic Four. It was one of my favorites from that line. I eventually had to sell that one off too. So, almost 2 years ago when I decided, I can start rebuilding this collection, I looked around at the old figures and I saw some things I didn't like. And I didn't like back then. The ball joints that they used on many of the figures just weren't that good. And to be honest, Hasbro's first efforts in Marvel Legends were not very good. So that's when I made the active choice to get more modernized figures, vastly improved figures. And that's what I've been doing all this time. So then, one day last year, an announcement came up. Rumors were flying. T-Rex was going to be re-released in the Marvel Legends line. I got excited. Of course I did. I really like T-Rex. He's a great Avengers villain and is a fun character to have as a villain. Then they presented it. It was in a 2-pack, and it was the exact same figure. Now you may wonder, why does that disappoint me if I had the original? Well, despite everything I've just said, I also said there were flaws. In those early figures, it's very apparent. This should have had at least gotten some tooling. Then I saw the price tag, and I'm like, no. That's way too much for a 2-pack. And they put him in with the Fallen one? Like, wow. They knew that figure wasn't going to sell on his own. So, I held back and held back and held back. Until finally, Hasbro Pulse had their warehouse sale. And buying some figures for a friend, I added that to my cart. And got it for a pretty good deal. Now, fast forward, and I've been sitting and watching this box and going, should I even open it? It's a conundrum because I'm opening up a figure I already had. And it doesn't feel as exciting as a new figure. At the same time, if I want a T-Rex, that's my only option. So yeah, finally I opened it. Wow, I was even more underwhelmed than I was originally. I admit that picture of T-Rex stared back at me like going, come on man, let me out of here. And I just said, yeah, I've got to. But when I saw him out of the box, it was not the homecoming I even expected. So first thing I gotta say, this has to be one of the cheapest 2-packs I've ever seen in my life. I'll get into why in just a minute. But, of course, the figures, I mean, they are what you expect. They are what the renders say. First, let's start with the Fallen one. He comes with a fist hand and a grip hand, and then alternate hands for a grip hand and a fist hand. I don't feel like showing them to you because really, what's the point? They're the same hand. He also comes with the ever-loving crappy effect pieces that I have yet to know of any time these effect pieces were ever received well. They're ugly, pointless. They look like scrubbing bubbles. And they don't even match the Fallen One's power set. So why does Hasbro keep using these and not give us some new power effects? Yeah, it's a cheap way out. The one aspect I will give to the fallen one is this really nice translucent hair that's supposed to be crackling energy. It also looks like it's got a some obvious glitter. Somebody went to Michael's, I guess, and tried to make it look like stars. So it's okay. The effect does its job, but it's not great either. I mean, it would be better on a figure that really needed it. Because let's face it, the Fallen One, his big thing was he got killed, Thanos cremated him, and he got put into an urn. Wait a minute. So surprisingly, the energy hair that he has does not hinder his articulation that badly. He can look pretty good to the left. However, looking to the right, you do get a little bit of hindrance. And it kind of wants to tilt the head to one side. That face is butt ugly. And that screaming effect is just terrible, but then when I started looking at pictures of the character, I realized, yeah, that's pretty much his expression. As far as paint applications, this is the cheapest figure ever made in the history of mankind. One big purple blob. Now, this is the tough part. When that comes down to the fact that it's the design, and that is the design of the character, can you really knock it? I want to, really do, because it looks cheap. I mean, they could have done some kind of shading or wash or something to bring out some detail on the figure, but nope. And of course, he's packed with pins, so that even makes it more fun. He's kind of a waste of a character, but also a waste of a figure. Now, of course, Terrax is the star attraction here. And, well, yep, it's the exact same figure from 2012. He has some more muted colors. They're not quite as bright as I remember. I don't remember the red being as having a sheen to it like it did. So at least they did something with the paint to make it a little better. But all in all, it just is the same figure. It's not really that dynamic or exciting. Of course, pins all over the place because they didn't do anything. I really thought some minor retooling on this could have made this a much more dynamic figure. And of course, Terrax is big, but he's not like the size of Hulk. I mean, and Hulk was running around for, if you extrapolate the price of this pack, Hulk was running around about the same price as Terrax would have been if he was sold by himself. So that really makes one scratch their head. I'm telling you, Hasbro saved a ton of money on this set. His axe feels a little oversized. I do seem to remember that from the original, though. So, again, it's just reuse. Yeah, he's got a big axe, but, you know, it's not the size of Cleveland. At the same time, I guess I can see why you'd want to give him a big axe, make it more intimidating and everything. You can get him into some poses. It's a little tough, but it can be done. Thing is, of course, the ball hips make things really hard to move around. Good luck using a stand because the holes in his feet, they just don't they don't fit on any stand that I have. And that's not to say he doesn't have his good qualities. I mean, he was a solid figure for his time. The problem is that that was 11 years ago. The flaws in the figure have not aged well. So that's kind of a letdown. His articulation is a little limited by the overlay. It is a very rookie mistake on a Marvel Legends figure, and it really kind of hits hard. You know, that there was some potential for this figure to be great. And instead, they just did a complete remold of an old Build-A-Figure. So all in all, I'd say, yeah, this is a huge letdown. I mean, I would really, only reason I would recommend buying is if you really want the Terrax and wait for a sale. Because a sale, even at a sale, you feel a little gypped. The fallen one should be the forgotten one because he did nothing his entire time as a comic character. And he's not going to do anything after this. He's still sitting in an urn. Wait a minute. Terrax is the star of the show. He should be the star of the show. And it's just disappointing that they just completely reused an old figure that I had previously. And I recognized and remembered all the flaws from the figure when I got him out of the package. So, yeah, it's a bit of a letdown. So, can't say I'd recommend this one. If I had to give this a star rating, I'd say 1 star. If you have the original Terrax, don't even go near this. The fallen one is not worth the effort. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for Infinite Realms. Don't forget to like and subscribe.